I hope this is working. There we go. Welcome everyone to the first annual Crunchyroll Expo. My name is Michael Gombos, and I am maybe the least qualified person, but I'm a friend of Amano Yoshitaka, who is known for many things. He's a character designer. He's an illustrator. He worked on a very independent, obscure, not so well-known video game franchise called Final Fantasy. But the most important thing is that he is here now as the guest of honor. So let's make a little noise for Mr. Amano Yoshitaka. We also have joining us interpreting. We're doing this United Nations style, so I'll have Tomo interpret to Japanese, and then I'll bring it back to English. So thank you very much, Amano-sensei, for coming out all the way to beautiful San Jose. And we want to know what you think of the first... oh, Suzuki-san. I'm sorry, we have another guest too. This is Amano-sensei's manager, Ms. Suzuki. She's actually been managing Mr. Amano's work for the last 30 years, so she's been an integral part. So anything you've seen in terms of any of his works, she is doing the business side of things. So we work together off and on many projects, Final Fantasy, Vampire Hunter D. I'm sure you know them all. Thank you for coming out. So we want to know, what do you think of the first ever Crunchyroll Expo?
まず、第1回目おめでとうございます。
Congratulations on the first ever Crunchyroll Expo, he said.
それに参加できて非常に光栄です。ありがとうございます。
And he's very honored to be able to participate here today.
です。
So, I was looking at Amano-sensei's Wikipedia page just to see what they have about him, and there were some special things that we've discovered that aren't so well detailed sometimes. And one of these is the story of how Amano-sensei actually got into the industry in general, what his start was. So I thought we might have him talk a little about how he got into things and how he got to where he is now.
はい。ですね、僕はですね、出身が静岡といいまして、富士山がある県ですね。はい、で僕の幼友達が、いまして大親友がいまして小学校の時に東京の方に引っ越したんですね。で僕がですね、14歳の時に、遊びに行ったんですね。でその頃僕漫画とか絵が大好きでその近くに、漫画家の家とかあとアニメスタジオがあるというんでじゃあついでにその時に見学に行こうということでそういう見学に行ったんですね。でそこが辰野プロダクションっていう会社でまだ会社発足して5年目ぐらいのところだったんですね。なのでちょっと見学に行ってその時ついでにというかせっかく行くんだからちょっと絵を見てもらおうと思って絵を持ってったんですね。そうしたところが静岡に戻ってから、採用通知が来ましてで親も慌ててしまってもう僕はもうすごい嬉しくてでそのまま15歳の時に東京の方に行ってで辰野プロダクションというところに入社しました。それがきっかけです。
Thank you. So he's from a place in Japan called Shizuoka, which is famous for several things. I always mention tea, eels, and Mount Fuji. And that's where he's from. And his good friend in grade school unfortunately had to move when they was about 12 or 13. So his friend moved from Shizuoka to Tokyo. And he was a little sad, so he thought when he was around 14, I'm going to go up to Tokyo and see my friend. And his friend happened to be in a place where he said, hey, we're in this area, we can go, this is where a lot of mangaka live, their houses are around here. And there's also this little known production company called Tatsunoko, which people know by now for numerous things, Gatchaman, Yatraman, properties too numerous to name right now. But it was only about its 5th year since it had been started. So they did a sort of field trip where Amano-sensei went with his friend, and they went in and There's two different stories. One is that he was just doing sketches during the sort of break time and left some sketches on the table. But he also brought some artwork with him. And he just kind of left it there without a second thought, finished the field trip, and went around and enjoyed Tatsunoko Productions. So about 2 weeks later, apparently his parents got a call. And they said, is this where this person named Amano Yoshitaka lives? And they said, yeah, why do you ask? Well, we want to hire him. The thing was, he was 14 years old, and so they had hired him based on the artwork that he had brought there. So the next year, instead of going to high school, he left for Tokyo at 15, and that was the sort of start of things. So.
まあ、しょうがないですね。
What can a guy do? So, Final Fantasy, the obscure, unknown franchise I mentioned moments ago, is now been around for 30 years, believe it or not.
そうですね。はい。はい。
And it's become something much bigger than I think most people would have anticipated.
多分
はい
最初の頃よりこんなに大きくなるとは
So, Amano Sensei, what are your feelings regarding what Final Fantasy has become?
はい、まずですね、ファイナルファンタジーが、コンピューターゲームというかファミコンで僕やった最初のゲームですね。それがまず第一ですね。それが今まで30年続いたっていうのは、なんだろう、僕ではなくそのスタッフというかね、実際作られてきた人たちがやっぱりすごいこう優秀な人で情熱もあってということで、それで30年続いたと思いますね。それとやはりこうちゃんとゲームが売れ続けなければ終わっちゃいますから、やっぱりいいものを提供しないと絶対ダメだと思いますので、それをやっぱり提供というか、それを受け入れてくれていたってことがまず一番なのかなと思います。だから僕はただキャラクターを描いたりとかそういうことで特になんだろう、大したことはしてないと思います。
So one thing I have to let you guys know, I've been friends with Amano Sensei for about 15 years. He's very humble. So he says that, all I did was simply draw character designs for the first one for Famicom. And that what the thing is that there's an immensely talented staff that's actually behind the Final Fantasy franchise. So it's not just him. He considers himself just one element of what the people that have worked so hard to make Final Fantasy what it is. And he's just happy that it's proof that it's something good, that it's reached a lot of people, and that it's continued for 13 years means that intrinsically there's something very good about it that people are enjoying, and that has touched a lot of people, I guess, close to home.
そうですね。
ということですかね。
そうですね。
So, a few moments ago we were talking, and there was a very good question about, because this comes up quite a bit, and I've read a little bit about it. Can games be art?
ですね、僕個人のことで言いますとですね、僕今、アートの方とかやってるんですけども、そこにゲームのキャラクターを入れてるんですね。でそれが、ゲームを知ってる人はこのキャラクターだって分かる、モンスターですけどね。でも知らない人にとってはそれは普通の絵の中のなんだろう、絵の一部なわけですね。であるこうヨーロッパの方で言われたのが、そのモンスターを描いたアートとしてアルミ作品なんですけども、なんかボッシュに似てるって言われたんですね。ボッシュの世界だっていう随分昔のアーティストなんですけども、でそうか、そういうふうに見るんだなと思って、なので、アートというのは多分その今は分かんないけどもあと100年したらゲームの中の全てじゃないかも分かりませんけどもアートになれるかもしれないし、それは今まで歴史がもうね証明してると思うんですね。そういう意味ではいずれはなると思います。
He says if it's not now, it always has a chance of becoming so. And one of the things he used to relate that was I believe it's a Dutch painter named Hieronymus Bosch. And oftentimes Amano Sensei's monsters have been likened to Bosch. Now no one knows why those paintings were made or what he was trying to illustrate, but we do know that we have them now. And essentially it relies completely on how it's delivered. If people are able to see his artwork for Final Fantasy as part of the game and enjoy it, that's a win. If they see it irrespective of the game and they see it in its own right, maybe they just see a picture and they don't know it's related to Final Fantasy, or whatever he's drawing, that's also a win. But ultimately, in 100 years from now, someone might not know about a game or about a work of art or a franchise that he did, but see only the art itself. So I guess the ends justifying the means in that regard.
あとですね、大衆がこう求めてたものとですか、大衆が支持しているものは残る、今まで歴史がそうですよね。政治的にこうやったものは残らないけども、大衆が本当に支持したものっていうのはずっと残ると思うんですね。だからやはりこうそういう意味ではなんだろうな、そういったものがアートとして時間を超えていくのかなと思いますね。やっぱり支持がなければダメだと思うんで、それは上から押さえつけるのはダメだと思うんで、やっぱり本当に大衆が望んだものがアートとして成立、今まで歴史もそうだと思いますのでしてると思いますね。
Well, and another thing he wants to mention is that art is really at the whim of the masses, at the whim of the populace. It belongs to the populace. There are movements that maybe certain governments tried to instill hundreds, thousands of years ago. They're gone. The byproducts, maybe art, are still around. And so that, and like you just mentioned, the ends justify the means, that whatever the populace or the masses are demanding, and that doesn't mean in some low consumerist level, but what people want will continue to remain, irrespective of what's happening with government of the world around it. So we'd like you to tell us what you're working on currently. What projects are you working on these days? You're known for many things. Final Fantasy's one, Vampire D's one, but the truth is, Amano Yoshitaka is one of the great fine artists alive today, I think. I always feel that like there were certain periods. Muka was alive, and that was his period. And Amano Yoshitaka is really the great fine artist alive today, in my opinion, and the opinion of many others, I would guess. So things that interest you. What personal projects are you working on these days, Amano Sensei?
先生がやってるプロジェクト、最近やったプロジェクト。
はい。Thank you very much. 今やってるのはですね、あれ
He paid me to say that.
あれやっていいですね。あれ言っていいですよね、タコマンね。
Sure, of course.
ね、ちょっと僕は昔から、まあ、今でもそうなんですよ、バットマンとかスパイダーマン、スーパーマン大好きで、なんかアメリカンヒーローを自分で作りたいという夢で、それでですね、タコマンというのをね考えたんです、実は。それを今いろいろ書いてで進めてます。それでもう言っていいんですよね。
もちろん。
ダークホースさんで、ね、
ご遠慮なく
ちょっと今
おっしゃってくださいませ。
今ダークホースさんで今進めてます。で今僕絵を描いてます。はい。それとですね、新宿というミンクさん、まあ映画監督なんですけどと一緒にやったものがありまして、それのパート2を今これから書きます。ちょっと書いてるんですけどね。実は今回ここに来て何年ぶりかでお会いしてミーティングをして、それまで僕はやらないでずっとほっといたんですね。それで昨日かな、ちょっとお会いしてそれで具体的になったんで、今年中ぐらいにそれを完成させるっていうそのデッドラインが決まったので、これから日本戻ったら頑張って書きます。
So a couple of projects. One is he grew up watching or reading Batman, Spider-Man, Superman. And as I'm sure many of you know, that actually influenced a lot of his work on Battle of the Planets and Gatchaman. There was inspiration drawn from those American superheroes. And I think it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago, Amano had announced his own superhero, which is Taco Man, Octopus Man. And so this is something he's wanted to do for a very long time. And so it's his own sort of superhero. It's Taco with a K. We're going to be sure to make that. And that's going to be published at Dark Horse. So he's been working on that as both a fine art piece and as a superhero comic. So he's hoping to finish that within the year. There's also a book that was released in 2012. It's called Shinjuku. And Amano had done the artwork. It was written by a person named Mink, who is a director for both music videos and for movies. But they've written it together. It's sort of I don't want to say Blade Runner meets Seven, I guess, is maybe a good analog. But they've always been wanting to do a second part. And there's been a lot of interest in it lately. So yesterday, Mink, who's Amano's friend, he just came up from Los Angeles, and they went to the winery and hung out and talked about doing the second book, which is called Shinjuku Azul. So it's going to be, the first one was red, this next one's going to be blue. And so they're excited to get working on that. However, Amano and him had to discuss deadlines for the project, which is going to be the end of the year. So unfortunately, that means once he gets back to Japan, he's going to have to lock himself in his room and do nothing but draw for the rest of the
も
year.
う日本帰ったらもう外に出れない。
もしここに来なければそれはなかったと思いますので。
However,
Right.
had he not come here in the first place, this wouldn't have come to fruition. So it's good that he is here.
そうそう。なのでプレッシャーです。
But there's still some pressure on him.
あとディーバダンっていうのがね、今、原作でやっていまして、それの、コミックス化で、それはコミックの人が書くんですけども、それも今ちょっと進めてます。
So Amano 先生が原作者として
はい
一応その監修をするんですけれども、
はい、
作家さんとその漫画家さんを採用するということですかね。
そうですね。はい。
So also he's working on, there's a book, it was his first novel, it's called Devazan, and it's a visual novel, so it's mostly art with Amano's very esoteric writings along with it. But what he's doing is he's developing that into basically the Zan world. So he has a lot of characters and ideas that he'd like to flesh out, and he'll be overseeing the project, and it'll be Amano Yoshitaka's work. However, he's going to involve some writers to make it into maybe a manga or in some other media, and he'll have a comic artist as well. And I think we actually have, if we're ready to go with it, maybe a small clip for Devazan, the video clip.
クリップをお見せします。
I think we're ready for that.
ちょっと早かった。
よかった、大丈夫です。
渋いでしょ。こんな感じです。です。かっこいいね。かっこいい。
Nice work.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I wanted to ask another question.
もう一つ質問なんですが、
When I was in Japan in March,
3月に日本
I went to a fashion show,
ファッションショーに行
はい
かれま
and
した。
you happened to be involved. Can you tell us about, besides character design, and you're working on Devazan and Takoman and Shinjuku and Vampire D, what other new ways are you expressing your art?
キャンディーガールという、今アート作品でいっぱい描いてます。まだ発表そんなにしてないんですけども、もう少ししたらちょっとどんどん発表していこうかなと思います。それでファッションとアートとの融合みたいな形で東京ガールズコレクションっていうのをこの間やったんですけども、その時にちょっと、その、僕の描いた、アートの、服を作ってもらいまして、モデルさんに来てもらってランダムウェイっていうか歩いてもらったりとかして、そういうことでちょっとファッションとアートをなんかつなげたいなと思って、一応そういった作品も今絵としてはいっぱい描いてますね。
One of the other things he's working on is called the Candy Girls collection. I think some of you are familiar with that, but he was wondering how someone might combine something like fashion and art, which is a very common combination. So there were some models that actually came out to his place, and he was able to design some outfits for them. And so it was the Candy Girls, or the Tokyo Girls collection, featured Amano Sensei's works, the Candy Girls works. And he wants to develop the Candy Girls as well. He has a bunch of merchandise, but there might be something else that comes from that in the future.
はい。あ、そうか。うん。なんかイギリスでなんかクールジャパンのあれでもちょっと発表しました。
イギリスの。
はい。
And also, it's going to be,
London,
I think you're probably familiar with Cool Japan as well, but they're using that as a part of the Cool Japan promotion in England, from what Ms. Suzuki just said.
です。
じゃあ、天野先生、その日本っていう代表者になってどう思います？代表的な存在になったじゃないですか。
い ど
So
うだ
he
ろう。
became sort of a representative of Japan in that way. What do you think of becoming the emissary?
まあ代表じゃないですけど、別にまあ自分の絵を見てもらうっていうだけで非常に僕は満足しているので、励みになりますね。
He's just happy to have people look at his pictures. I'm not really a representative of my country. I'm just a dude who draws, and people like looking at my work. So Sensei, can you tell us about, you've attended many shows in the past. You have been the guest of honor here at Crunchyroll. You've been the guest of honor at New York Comic Con, San Diego. What, do you have a special memory of a fan or an event that maybe sticks with you?
ファン出会いとかどうですか？
ですね、今全世界でいろんなところでこうコンビニやってますよね。大体似てるんですね。携帯が中入っちゃうとね。中入っちゃうと同じある意味こうファンタジーの空間なんです。この中は、ね、皆さんがいてこうゲストがいてっていう形で、それはすごくこう気持ちのいい空間ですよね。それは場所がどこであろうと同じような感じなんですよね。でですね、一つこう思ったのがやはりこう、そこの場所じゃなければできない体験っていうんですかね。例えばサンフランシスコだったらサンフランシスコならではの何かがあるとすごく面白いなと思いました。前に去年一昨年からモナコでそういうイベントがありまして、それはやはり、マジックってやつなんですけど、それはまあ最初だったんですね。それはなんかいろんなコンテストをやってましたね。ゲームとかアニメのコンテストやって、それで募集したりとかしてて、ちょっと新しい試みをしたりとか、ファッションショーやったりとかね、なんかそういうようなことやったりとか、まあそれはそれでまた面白いなと思うんで、なんかやはりこうせっかく第1回目ってことは前例がないわけですから、なんか面白いことやったら絶対世界中から来ると思いますね。それスタッフもそうなんですよけど、皆さんもなんか要望したらいいと思います。こういったことやってほしいとかね、絶対その受け入れるだけじゃなくて自分たちもなんかこう一緒に作り出すみたいな、ね、それが第1回目ですからできると思うんですね。このサンフランシスコっていうのはそういう意味ではすごくこう面白いと思います。期待できますね。
He says, wherever you go, shows can tend to be shows. However, you come in, you walk into the place, and it's a fantastic world with people cosplaying and other events. But every place he goes has its own flavor as an event. And so, for example, he went to Monaco last year, and there was people playing games, or there was a fashion show. So every place is able to sort of color the event the way they wanted it. And he says that he feels it's very fortunate to have an event here. He keeps saying San Francisco, but because he classifies this, I guess, as a San Francisco area. I think a lot of us from out of town might. But he says, the great thing about Crunchyroll Expo is this is a new event, and he's been very impressed with how well it's run. And the fans kind of have their chance to make this what they want to make it. And so a lot of other events have such history that they're kind of, there's a pattern to it. But he says, if you want to, you can take this, make it your own. And that's what he says, that he hopes that you are able to make this your own event and make it what you want it to be. Yes. Okay. Art?
Yeah.
So one of the things we like to do is, and Amano Sensei likes to do, is we want to have a live drawing. So he'll do some live.
これ太いな。あ、これがいいか。これ出してない。これさ、開かないから。開こうか。
I got it.
大丈夫。ここに、いい出しちゃう。
Do you have a knife? All right. 先生これなかなか開けられないんですよ。
Oh, is it?
It is, but it's like kind of stuck.
大丈夫ですよ。オッケーオッケー。
Okay.
大丈夫です。赤この辺出して。
Okay.
いいよいいよ。こんなもんで、とりあえず。
マイケル出しすぎだよ。
まあいいじゃない。
どうした？
いっ
Yeah, he says I put a little too much paint in the thing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a dude. Okay, sounds good. She's hoping I can say something interesting, but I don't think I can say anything as interesting what's happening here. Question? How did I meet Amano Sensei? She's asked me to say. She wants like a talk show while this is happening. So I actually work for Dark Horse Comics. I try not to push that too hard because I feel like whenever Amano Sensei does events, I've seen a lot of you before, which is one thing I love. When I go to these events, he likes me to come along, at least when it's in the United States. So I'm fortunate enough to, like I say, I'm not always the most qualified person. I just happen to be friends with him, but we have a long history. We've done a lot of his books. We did Worlds of Amano. We did Shinjuku. You guys might know the Final Fantasy box set called The Sky, which is one of my favorite things of all time. We did The Dawn. We've published Vampire Hunter D, which is the best-selling light novel in the English language, actually. And Amano Sensei, of course, does the art for that. What are you working on? 先生、何書いてるんですかね。もしかしたらマイケルですかね。
マイケル。馬ですね。馬。
He's drawing a horse, apparently, he says. Let's see how it comes. Yes. Yeah.
20
Really? So sometimes they have these live drawings, and this is actually not uncommon to him. But they did one, so it was 20 meters wide, so about 60 feet wide, that he did it in an hour. その後相当墨が汚かったんじゃないかな。真っ黒だった。
こんなホークみたいなので、バケツに墨をこうやってそれで
So yeah, basically it was like churning butter. They had a big bucket full of the ink and used something akin to maybe a mop or a broom and was walking along with it and just was completely soaked in ink from head to foot after that. In 1 hour, he did that. And he finished.
それが舞台のこういうセットの文鳥っていうの。
なんだとか、はい。
その
強く。
舞台美術。
And that was for the background of like a stage play. You know, they have some of the ink sets. So he did a background for a stage play, and it basically became the wraparound.
その時に馬の絵をやっぱり描いたんですけど、その時に描いたのはこのひづめから描いて、ひづめからこう描いてって馬になってとても驚いたんです。
And when he drew, that time he also drew a horse, but she says interestingly, drew it from the hoof first, so no one had any idea what was being drawn. Here it's kind of materialized from the head, but it started as a hoof, and everyone was sort of, what's going on here? What is he going to draw? And it wound up being a horse. That's cool.
オーディンっぽいね。
Odin?
あ、オーディン。オーディンで、
はい
ファイナルファンタジーで描いたんですよ、オーディンって。
Yeah.
で、天野がオーディンまた依頼が来たから、オーディンの画像を探してって言われたんで、Google で私探したら、天野さん自分の絵が出てきちゃって。
So he had recently there was some work that they wanted him to do, Odin for Final Fantasy, and he was like thinking, gosh, what should I draw? He needed some inspiration for Odin for some of the work that had come in, And so they Googled it just to get some inspiration, and the first thing that showed up was Amano's work. So and he's like, I can't use this, you know. It's like a,
だからゲームのキャラクターっていうのは結構神話から取ってるんですよね。実際のね、それ北欧神話なんですけども、あとギリシャ神話とか、だからゲームってやっぱり神話なのかなっていう気がしますね。
See, games for him are mythos. They're mythology for him, and I think that's a lot of we've seen the effect of that, where he's not really just doing characters, but from the characters spring forth of the world from which they were birthed. So rather than just draw characters as characters themselves, he makes sure that they feel like they're all grounded in some sort of mythos that might reasonably exist.
あ、
また面白いあるあるの話していいですか？
Okay? Of course.
みんな日本でなんだっけバハムートっていうとみんな竜をイメージするんですけど、それ天野さんが勝手に
ファイナルファンタジーでね。
ファイナルファンタジーでバハムートってそもそもギリシャ神話で、ヤギの顔に恋の鱗にとかっていう設定な全然違う生き物なんだけど、つまんないねこれかっこ悪いからかっこよくメカのゴジラっていうかそのドラゴンにしようっつってそれで書いたの。そしてでバハムートって発表したら、そしたら日本はバハムートイコールドラゴンになっちゃったの。だからそれ
So Bahamut, the character, everyone in Japan, that's a dragon in Japan. But in actual Grecian mythology, it has the head of a goat, I believe, and scales. But Amano Sensei drew it as sort of this mechanized dragon. And now in just regular Japanese culture, whenever Bahamut is mentioned, they all think it's a dragon because of that influence. No one's really aware of where it came from. But apparently Amano Sensei, his work has influenced it such that it's actually changed the flow of culture and of words, I guess, too.
ウィキペディアに書いてあります。
And apparently it's on Wikipedia, so you know you can trust it.
時間大丈夫？
時間あと10分ぐらい、5分ぐらいですかね。
OK。
で15分なんで、それで残りあと5分あるから、あと10分ぐらいありますけど、でもまあ5分で。
じゃあね、終わったら、これが終わればもう質問やるんです。
あ、質疑やる。はい。
はい。
式はなしというか、we can have him do like a 式詞 or something.
OK。
Yeah.
この後じゃあ式。
面白かった話。他になんかないですか？
他に
うん
あるある
あるある話。
あるある
はい。
どんなあるあるがいいですか？
最高に面白いやつが。
すごい、すごいなって。
あ
スクエアの話は。
いや、濡れた髪の
水槽行って。
いいの質問。
大丈夫です。大丈夫。
It was weird. This is a really weird. Oh man. So
名前は
we're not saying any names of any people, but so there's sort of the red light district called Yoshiwara in Japan. And Amano Sensei, when he was just developing or sort of getting his foot in the door, his studio was not in the nicest area, so it was kind of the red light district. And from a certain studio, a person would always come and get the art. So they'd show up at his place, he'd have the art, and he'd hand it to them. And one time the person showed up, and it's kind of like the bathhouse district, or I don't know how to describe it, but they showed up and their hair was wet. And he's like, it's not raining. And handed them the art, and the guy left. So infer what you want, but there you go. It's okay.
It's okay.
いろいろと秘密を暴露するとやばいこといっぱいあるんで。
Yeah, we have to be careful what we talk about up here. You know, it's he's the guardian of many secrets, apparently. The what? I can't remember the time. Can you check?
そうですね。ぜひ。 ね、明日ラストです。
ラストなので、tomorrow it's 1:30
Okay, to 3?
to 1 hour at 1:30 to 2:30.
Okay, yeah, there's also, I think you guys might know, there was an autograph session yesterday. It's ticketed, but there's one from tomorrow from 1:30 to 2:30 as well.
Mm.
で、色紙に移る。
はい。
あと2分でここに移って書くんですね。
はい。
そうするとタップします。
いや、まだでももうあれって分かってるんで、まだ時間はあるでしょ。
5分ぐらいはあると思いますので。What?
The total
Okay. Yeah, we're fine. 9分。
タイマーが9分。
あと9分。
はい。時間。
絵は何時頃も
いや、大丈夫です。
大丈夫。
万事会長。Sorry if I'm standing in the way.
さっきの話に戻っちゃうんですけど、ギリシャ神話の大学の挿絵に書いてあるので、天野さんの絵が実は図鑑っていうか図鑑じゃないかな。
ギリシャ神話じゃない
みたいなので大事。
北欧神話。え？北欧神話だよね。
北欧神話の
日本の絵だっけ？
日本ですけど、教科書の絵を
And actually, there's some mythological books. So, like in mythological encyclopedias, and in Japan, oftentimes when there is a piece of mythos from either Greek or Roman gods, whatever, they ask Amano Sensei to do those paintings.
あとあれだよね。
Because there's no actual pictures of them, so they figure he probably has a good idea.
上松さんのね、上松さんのファイナルファンタジーもあれもね、教科書載ってんだよね。上松さんの。
And that's where we were talking about how art can spring forth from different media. Uematsu-san's songs are listed in Japanese textbooks. So again, if you don't know it as the theme songs of Final Fantasy, you might know it from some other means. And actually, one that I thought was interesting that Amano Sensei mentioned earlier was the use of the Sailor Moon theme song during ice skating in the Olympics. So you might not have ever seen Sailor Moon or heard of it, but if you watch the ice skating event, you might say, hey, that's a great song. So really, it doesn't matter how the medium by which it arrives at the masses, but just that it does.
こんなもんかな。こんなもんかな。
He usually uses like stretched canvas.
He does.
Yeah. He's used to, yeah. Yeah, there was a picture. It was I can't remember the actual name of the painting. It's in many of the books, the Final Fantasy books, and it's a picture of a town that Amano did. And the actual painting is something like 6 or 7 meters wide, but it's incredibly detailed. And the interviewer asked, how long did it take you to do this? And Amano said, 1 day. And she's like, 1 day? And the interesting thing was that he'd actually done 3 separate illustrations, but only used 1. So he does tend to sketch quick. If any of you have ever been in a signing with him, he'll sometimes draw the person's face in a manner of like 15 seconds. So as you can tell now, doing this in 15 minutes it's no exaggeration that he works quite quickly.
じゃあサインしちゃおうか。
最後に言いますんで、あとその色紙もやってもらって、はい。
あと5分、黄色ラン
Let's go over there. Yeah.
They're like fans want to follow like
I don't know. Yeah. It's okay. No.
もういいか。
Wait.
じゃあいいです。
So guys,
とりあえず
here you are.
いやそうね。
あと雰囲気のこれを使って
次これね。
どうぞ。Is this on?
時間は大丈夫ですか。
大丈夫です。あと3分です。Which one?
or they have to do it. So they're
Okay, there.
OK。映る。はい。
ピンボケだね。
そうだね。
あ、治った。動かない。
Sorry, it's upside down. Or is it?
これ大丈夫。
大丈夫です。サクサクになってるんで最後に。
こうか。はい。もう一枚かけます。ワンモア。
45秒。
あと45秒。
これ最後になるんじゃない。
最後挨拶しなきゃなんないから。
はい。どうも。
So I spoke earlier to Amano Sensei and said, what would you like to do with these pieces of art after the show? And he'd like to donate them to charity on behalf of himself and Crunchyroll. So,
Thank you so everyone.
bye-bye. So it's a short time today, but we want to thank Amano Yoshitaka Sensei for joining us for the first ever Crunchyroll Expo. And time is up, unfortunately, but hopefully we can send him off with some cheers. And
いや緊張しました。
he said he's really nervous about the whole thing. So,
ありがとうございます。
adios.